Hello there.
So for my latest video, I'm going to be discussing the third test match of the Border-Gavaskar trophy between Australia and India. This test match was played in Sydney Cricket Ground, with Australia winning the toss and electing to bat first. They chose to have a new opener. Instead of Joe Burns, they decided to take Will Puchovski. Not only this, but he was a debutant. This was his first ever match. Surprisingly, his performance in this match was beyond all expectations. His first ever innings in a test match for Australia resulted in him getting a half century. He got 62 off 110 deliveries. It's a good score for a debut, and even if it wasn't a debut, it's a good score. David Warner had come back from injury. At the beginning, he did seem like he would be able to score a few runs, but it wasn't to be because he was out for 5 of 8. Which isn't a good score. Maybe he's still just recovering. Now, Marnus Labuschagne. He hadn't performed until now. He scored 91 off 196, and his strokes were just elegant and amazing. He scored 11 fours. Most of these were straight batted drives, proper cricket shots, and he hit one reverse sweep, which was just class. Stephen Smith, number 4. He finally performed after scoring 131 off 226. He batted very well with many. At the beginning of his innings, he looked very shaky, but towards the end he grew so confident that he started hitting shots which looked like they were impossible to hit. He scored 16 fours, and all of which were not really cricket shots, to be honest. They were all improvised Steve Smith shots. Matthew Wade had been demoted down the order to number 5 after David Warner came back. He scored 13 of 16 and was caught by Bumrah off Jadeja. Bumrah, the world's worst fielder, took a catch. It's not surprising seeing as it was an easy catch, but still it's just funny. The way that Wade got out was the exact same as it was in the second test, in which he came down the track and looked as if he was to play a flick or something on the leg side, but then at the last second he decided that he had to pull out or just not try that shot, and then it ended up hitting his bat and going straight up. The same thing happened last test, which is definitely something that needs to be worked on for Wade, his shot selection. It looks as if he wants to play a shot, but then he seems to decide at the last second that he can't, and then he pulls out, but it's already too late by that point. Cameron Green got out for a 21 ball duck, which is a lot of balls to waste to get out for a duck. It's not a great score. Well, it's a bad score, but after his performance last match, I think this may be just a blip. We'll look to the future. Tim Payne scored 1 run off 10 balls. He was bowled out by Bumrah through his bat and pad gap. It was an in-swinger, which Bumrah bowled very well. In fact, all of Bumrah's in-swingers that match were excellent. All of Bumrah's in-swingers were on the money that match, and the batsmen definitely weren't comfortable playing them. Pat Cummins was out for a 13 ball duck. He was bowled out by Jadeja, who was playing very well that day and took 4 wickets in the first innings itself. Mitchell Starc came in next, and debutant Saini took the wicket of him. When Mitchell Starc batted, it looked very good, but then who knows if he had a rush of blood or something and then just decided that, oh yes, it's going to be a 6, it's going to be a boundary this ball. And then, because what he did was he tried to hit a boundary over mid-wicket, but it went up and it was caught, which I don't think wasn't the intention of that shot. Nathan Lyon was bowled out LBW for a 3 ball duck by Jadeja. He didn't bat too well and it wasn't convincing, but then again he's a tail ender, so who cares, to be honest. Josh Hazlewood remained not out after scoring 1 of 6. Steve Smith was run out by the guy who is probably the best fielder in the world, Jadeja. I think it was a direct hit, and Jadeja, with his rocket of an arm, didn't give Steve Smith a chance to get back. Will Puchovski was bowled out LBW by Saini. Jasprit Bumrah bowled 25.4 overs. He took 7 maidens, but gave away 66 runs. His economy was roughly 2.6, and he took 2 wickets. There were quite a lot of dropped catches and missed chances off of his bowling, which probably would have infuriated him to no end. But I guess it turned out well for him because he did get 2 wickets at least, and his stats were good. Mohamed Siraj bowled 25 overs, which is surprising seeing as even though it's only his second test, they're still trusting him with the second most overs of the innings. He took 4 maidens and gave away 67 runs. He gave away more runs than Bumrah, but he's a new bowler, and he's new to the international scene. To see him give away runs which are very similar to Bumrah is just crazy, seeing as it's only his second test match. Ravi Ashwin bowled 24 overs and took one maiden, and this time around, the Australian batsman did go after him and they scored 74 runs off of him. He took no wickets, sadly for the Indian fans. This probably isn't a sign for what's to come, seeing as Ashwin is a great bowler. So Navdeep Saini, the new debutant, he bowled 13 overs and took no maidens, but he gave away 65 runs, which isn't that great, but he did take 2 wickets. Jadeja bowled 18 overs and took 3 maidens. He took the most wickets of any Indian bowler this innings. 4. He only gave away 62 runs. So now the Indians came into bat after the Australians scored 338 after 105.4 overs. Rohit Sharma had come in and he scored 26 runs off 77 balls. His wicket was extremely unlucky because it was definitely a great shot that was going for 4, but it just stayed up instead of hitting the deck as soon as it hit his bat, because it was a straight drive and it was caught and bowled by Hazelwood. So if he had hit it into the ground, then it was a 4 for sure. Shubman Gill scored exactly 50 runs. He made his half-century in his second ever match. Pujara came in and also scored exactly 50 runs. But unlike Shubman Gill, who only took 101 balls, Pujara took 176. This is crazy, seeing as it's a lot of runs, but Pujara is known to be that batsman who will wear down the opposing team. This is his job, to stay in and to just annoy the bowlers to no end, because if you get the bowlers more and more frustrated, that means they'll bowl more and more loose balls because they will be fatigued and tired. So instead of thinking of it as he wasted 176 balls, instead of thinking of it as he wasted 126 balls, we can think of it as he tired the bowlers out by 176 balls, which, when you put it that way, sounds a lot better. Ajinkya Rahane, the captain, was bowled out by Cummins. He had dragged it on while trying to play a late cut, which was just unlucky because the last few overs before he had gone out, it looked as if he was trying to up the run rate for the Indians. But he scored 22 of 70, which isn't great, but I guess everyone has a bad day at the office. Hanuma Vihari, in his first innings, he scored 4 of 38. He was run out by Hazelwood, and it didn't look too convincing from him. So Rishabh Pant then came in and was caught out by Warner off of Hazelwood. He scored 36 of 67, and he did look as if he was going to bat a long time, but unluckily he just edged it down for a catch. Jadeja remained not out as he scored 28 of 37. The other batsman completely hogged the strike when he was on, which is just sad because he is a great all-rounder. He could have easily scored more runs had he faced more balls. Ashwin then came in and scored 10 of 15, and then Saini scored 3 of 13. Bumrah then was run out by Labuschagne after a 2-ball duck, and Siraj was out for 6 of 10. They took 100.4 overs, and it wasn't amazing, the innings. There were definitely a few sparks and a few hints as to what's to come from Rishabh Pant, Jideshwar Pujara, Shubman Gill and Rohit Sharma. Mitchell Starc bowled 19 overs and took 7 maidens. He gave away 61 runs and only took 1 wicket. Mitchell Starc is generally known to be that bowler who doesn't really mind about giving away runs as long as he gets the wickets. But this innings, we didn't see him take as many wickets as the Aussies would have liked. Josh Hazelwood bowled 21 overs and took 10 maidens. He only gave away 43 runs and took 2 wickets. After Cummins, he was the Aussies' best bowler. He didn't take as many wickets as Cummins, but he probably helped Cummins in taking the wickets because of the way that he would have played with the batsman's mind by the way he bowled. Josh Hazelwood had also gotten a run out after getting a direct hit, which was an excellent piece of fielding because he had dove to get to the ground, but then in one action he threw the ball in to get the direct hit, and he had released the ball before he had even hit the ground, which is just amazing. Pat Cummins was the Aussies' best bowler. He bowled 21.4 overs and took 10 maidens, like Hazelwood, but he only gave away 29 runs, which is just crazy, seeing as he would have given around one run and over. He took 4 wickets, which again is nearly half of the Indian batting side. Nathan Lyon bowled the most overs with 31. He took 8 maidens, but gave away the most runs with 87. He took no wickets. He bowled decently, but I think he could have given away less runs. But then again, his economy is only 2.8, which is still very good. And the fact that the Aussies trusted the spinner for 31 overs, despite having seen that Ashwin had given away 74 runs in 24 overs, is a good sign for the Australians that they trust their lineup. Marnus Labuschagne bowled in this innings. He bowled 3 overs, took no maidens or wickets, but only gave away 11 runs, which isn't great, but I guess for a part-time bowler, it's okay. Cameron Green also bowled, with him bowling 5 overs, taking 2 maidens and giving 11 runs. He also took no wickets, but again, as he doesn't bowl as often as the others, it's still not too bad. Now Australia came out to bat after the Indians scored 244 in 100.4 overs. The Australians sent out David Warner and Will Puchovski as their openers again. This time David Warner more than doubled his score and got 13 runs off 29, which still isn't a good total, but again, it's his first match in some time, and it's his first test match in some time too. So it's okay, seeing as, like I said, he's probably still going to be trying to get into the rhythm of a test match. Will Puchovski only got 10 runs this time and took 16 balls. He was caught out by the keeper, who took an excellent catch, and he was bowled out by Mohammad Siraj. Will Puchovski this innings, even though he got a low total, it's probably fine because every batsman has a bad innings. And Marnus Labuschagne came in at 3. He scored 73 off 118, which is a good score. But then again, he was caught out by the keeper, Saha. I don't think that it's a bad score or what he did was unacceptable, but he batted very well, and it would have been good to see him see out the innings. As a top order batsman, it's what you should be looking to do. Steve Smith scored 81 off 167. He was bowled out LBW by Ashwin. Even though he didn't beat his score from the first innings, which was 131, he did do very well, because 131 is a very high score, a good high total for any top order batsman. So yes, I think Steve Smith did his job and got the runs that he needed to. Matthew Wade, however, did not. He got 4 runs off 11 balls. I don't think he batted especially well this match because he didn't score many runs. He scored 4 plus his first innings total, which was 13. So he scored 17 runs this match during the entire match, which isn't good. I think what he needs to improve on is his shot selection, because he often seems to he often seems to be getting caught out by trying to pull out of the shot that he's trying to play too late, which I don't think is a good sign, and it definitely should not be happening in a top order batsman or a middle order batsman for that matter, especially for someone of Matthew Wade's class. Cameron Green scored 84 of 132. He definitely played very well this innings, and it was sad to see him go because he batted very well, with his shots coming off the bat very, very nicely, and his drives definitely being top class. Tim Payne was not out after scoring 39 off 52. The innings was declared. This is why there were only 6 wickets, and Australia scored 312 in 87 overs, which is definitely a good score. Now for the Indian bowlers this innings. Bumrah bowled 21 and took 4 maidens and 1 wicket. He gave away 68 runs. He bowled decently, with his in-swingers being very good, but it was sad to see him only get 1 wicket. Mohammad Siraj bowled the joint most overs, with Ravi Ashwin, both of whom bowling 25 overs. Siraj took 5 maidens and gave away 90 runs, which is the most of all the Indian bowlers. Except, actually, no it isn't, because Ashwin gave away 95 runs. He took 1 wicket. I think it's okay that he only got 1 wicket because he's still new to the test game and he's still new to the Indian side. So it's definitely not a sign of things to come, because this is his second test match, which means that he's still trying to get into the rhythm, trying to fit in the squad. So it's going to take him some time to become like Bumrah, where he's only giving away like 68 runs in 25 overs. But that being said, he did have roughly the same stats as Bumrah in the first innings. Navdeep Saini bowled 16 overs and took 2 maidens. He also took 2 wickets and gave away 54 runs. He was one of India's best bowlers, along with Bumrah, as they both had an economy of roughly 3.2 or 3.3 respectively. But I think Navdeep Saini did better off for himself, because even though he had less overs to bowl, he took more wickets with 2. But then who knows, maybe if Bumrah had gotten to bowl a few more overs, he would have gotten even more wickets. Ravi Ashwin, like I said, he bowled 25 overs, but he only took 1 maiden and gave away 95 runs. He took 2 wickets, which is good, but 95 runs is definitely too much to give in 25 overs. For the fourth and final innings, India needed 407 runs. Rohit Sharma doubled his score from last time and scored 52 runs off 98 balls. His shots were elegant and classy, which is what you'd expect from someone in the calibre of Rohit Sharma. Shubman Gill only scored 31 of 64, but he did bat very well, with lots of his shots going for boundaries and almost all of them being proper cricket shots, with him being in control of every single one. Unlike Steve Smith, who you'd often see flapping around while trying to regain balance after the recoil of his strange shots. Jiteshwar Pujara was bowled out by Hazlewood after scoring 77 of 205. He definitely did his job and definitely took enough runs, but he did take 205 balls, which is his job though. He is meant to be the rock, which, like I said, the Australian bowlers shouldn't be able to get anything out of, and he should be the one tiring them out, annoying them to no end, which he definitely did. Ajinkya Rahane was caught by Wade off Lyon. He only scored 4 runs off of 18 balls. He didn't bat very well this innings. Bunt scored 97 and just missed out on his century by 3 runs. He took 118 balls, but definitely played very well. His batting was definitely very quick fire for a test match. Ravi Ashwin and Hanuma Vihari saw out the 5th day and got India the tie. Hanuma Vihari had torn his hamstring and he had to have an injection. He said that he couldn't feel his leg at all. He only scored 23 runs, but it took him 161 balls, which, like Pujara, it's okay because the tie was what was needed. No one had to go out and out and score 400 runs. It was fine for the Indians to take the tie. And Ravi Ashwin got 39 runs off 128 deliveries. He batted very well, and he did his job because technically he is an all-rounder. The Indians scored 334 for 5 wickets in 131 overs. Mitchell Starc bowled 22 overs and took 6 maidens. He gave away 66 runs and took no wickets, sadly for him and for the other Australians. Josh Hazlewood bowled 26 overs and took 12 maidens. He only gave away 39 runs, which is excellent considering the amount of overs he's had to bowl. And he took 2 wickets, which again, it's good, but I guess it wasn't good enough. Pat Cummins bowled 26 overs and took 6 maidens. He gave away 72 runs, which was nothing like what he did in the first innings. This innings he definitely performed much worse than in the first innings. Nathan Lyon bowled a whopping 46 overs, which is nearly the entire length of a one-day innings. He took 17 maidens and gave away 114 runs. He took 2 wickets. He did a good job for himself, and it definitely shows the trust Australia has in their off-spinner, but 46 overs is definitely a lot, so it's surprising that he didn't get injured or he wasn't tired out after that, especially considering he's probably near the latter stages of his career, seeing as he's 33 years old. Cameron Green bowled 7 overs and took no maidens. He gave away 31 runs and took no wickets. His bowling spell seems to have been more like an ODI spell than a test spell. Marnus Labuschagne took 2 maidens in his 4 overs, and he only gave away 9 runs, which is very good for a part-time bowler. So it looks like this time Australia were going after the spinners, which they didn't in the second test match, because in the second test match, as you'll remember, they gave the spinners a lot of respect and ended up losing a lot of their wickets to the spinners, Ashwin and Jadeja. I think one very, very sad moment of the match was when Wade intentionally threw the ball onto Vihadi's bad leg, which he very well knew was torn, but still went and threw because he knew Vihadi can't get out of the way. That is probably one of the worst moments, almost definitely the most controversial and the most nasty moment in the entire Border-Gavaskar trophy of 2020 and 2021. So guys, that's it for today's video. Don't forget to like and subscribe and click the bell icon to stay up to date with our newest content. So, I'll see you next time.